Good afternoon and welcome to Webinar Wednesday. I'm Nicole Gailey. I'm the agent coordinator here at GCU. Today, Jeff is going to talk to us about life insurance. If you didn't know, right now we're running a contest until the end of March. If you have 10 issued life apps, that will earn you a trip. I also wanted to mention GCU has a wonderful member benefits portfolio. It includes scholarships, student debt relief, as well as amazing Go Give charity projects. Agents have up to $1,000 per year of match funds money for a fundraiser for any qualified charity that they choose. GCU has given almost $1.3 million to charitable donations in 2022 and almost $1 million in scholarships awarded in the past 10 years. GCU loves to give back to the community. So I'm going to hand you over to Jeff. If you have any questions, if you could just wait to the very end of the webinar, he will be happy to answer any of those. We also have our underwriters, Amy and Jen, on, and they will be able to help with some questions that you might have as well.
We didn't know that, but they're going to help anyways.
Okay.
You're all set? Go right to the next one. So the title of this presentation is Finding the Need for Life Insurance in the Senior Market. A lot of people think the life insurance, is something for younger people, but definitely the need is there. So we're going to focus solely on finding a specific need for life insurance in the senior market. Okay, first little commercial for who we are. By the way, we are broadcasting from the GCU studios in luxurious Beaver, Pennsylvania. So if you ever get the opportunity to get out here, make sure you stop and say hi. We also have a country club that's part of our company. So if you're a golfer, come on out and we'll get you on Seven Oak Country Club. Who is GCU? We've been around since 1892. Started with 700 people with $600 in their pocket total to start a fraternal benefit society. Right now, we're at about 50,000 members. And that 2.5 billion is actually outdated. We're at about 2.8 billion in assets. And we're not for profit, so we are fraternal. We focus on our members, selling annuities, both traditional annuities and indexed annuities, and then life insurance as well. I love our tagline, GCU is not tied to Wall Street, but only to Main Street. And we truly, truly believe it. GCU is definitely kind of a mom and pop operation. And we know your name, and we call you by name. You're not an agent number with us. Okay, there we go. And just a couple of agent testimonials. I'm not going to read them for you because you can read. But the ongoing theme with any kind of testimonials we get from agents that do business through us is they love the home office staff. They love the personalized service. You don't call the new business team, you call Marilyn. You don't call the member services, you call Stacy, and you work with them direct. So it's very much a hands-on organization, and we consider the agents that do sell our products, you are our actual customers. So we appreciate everything that agents do for us and for our members. Quick update, just started getting notice about this benefit for the agents last year. So if you're an agent with us and you have a charity that's near and dear to your heart, so let's say you're involved in Big Brothers, Big Sisters, and I'm going to use that as an example because one of our agents used this program in December and was involved in a fundraiser for that organization. He applied, got approval, and we gave him an additional $1,000 for the charity of his choice. Another agent used it. He's in the North Woods of Wisconsin, and they do benefits for disabled veterans. So they take them deer hunting, ice fishing, regular fishing, all that kind of stuff. And, all these small organizations are doing so many good things in the community, but it's all about the money. So you as an agent with GCU have $1,000 to give away to a charity that matters to you. So if you're not taking advantage of this, it's free money. That's what GCU does. We're a not-for-profit organization. We don't pay taxes. We're not a commercial company, but we have to give away the money to maintain being a fraternal society. So take us up on it. And a little trivia on this slide. If you are also a member of GCU, so if you have a life insurance policy with us, or an annuity with us, instead of $1,000 a year to charity, that goes up to $2,000 a year. So if you're active in an organization and you're doing good in your community, let GCO help you get more things done. Nicole talked about this briefly. This is our life incentive contest for the first quarter only. We have, if you have 10 issued life applications in the first quarter, so January through March, you will earn a drive-away vacation. So it's a 2-day or a 3-day, 2-night drive-away vacation. If you qualify, we'll send you a packet where there's probably 1,000 hotels available that are in this program nationwide. So it includes golf if there's golf course there. If you're into skiing and it's near a ski hill, it also involves skiing. It's a great little incentive, and it's only 10 apps. So if you're going to be writing life insurance, get them to us. And there is no size requirement for the life applications. Doesn't have to be whole life, doesn't have to be single premium, just 10 issued life applications. Justin asked, how do we apply for the charity donation? We will get into that at the end. I'll make a note of that. Good question though, Jason. Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes here. We all know we're all experienced agents. I'm looking at the names I see, and I don't think there's any newbies in the crowd right now. So traditional needs for life insurance. Most of the time when we're talking about life insurance, we're talking about key life events. People getting married, having a baby, buying a house, and then of course the ever-present income replacement. But when we think about these key events, it tends to skew towards the younger market. And I know when I started back in '93 with Prudential, I thought I was going to be the coolest insurance agent around. I was going to only work with people my age. I wore sweaters instead of suits, the whole thing. That didn't work out really well because the younger market has a couple of problems. So if you write a nice life case in a younger market, you place the case, everything's wonderful, and they get your insurance bill at the same time they get their cable TV bill. Which one do you think they're going to pay? So it's really not as important to them. So the cases tend to be smaller, and your persistency tends to be a little bit worse than it would be in the senior market. So let's talk a little bit more about the senior market. Main thing is we see a lot of agents get in the house and find the assets and talk about annuities. And I love annuities myself. I've sold a ton of them over my career, but we're leaving something behind. So a lot of agents tend to shy away from writing life insurance, or at least recommending life insurance when you're in the house in the senior market. And these are some of the reasons they do. They're worried about health. But if you've got any experience in field underwriting, that should not be a hurdle. Of course, if they're uninsurable, they're uninsurable. That's nothing we can fix. But you find the need and make sure your client can qualify. A lot of people don't write life insurance in the senior market because they say, oh, it's too expensive. Premiums are too high. Well, that's not necessarily the case. There's always that old cliche that, young people and old people pay the same amount of premium over time, but older people just don't pay it as long. So, the total of premium being paid is roughly the same, just in smaller increments for the younger people. People are worried about underwriting hassles, and I've got our senior underwriter, and Jen, I'm sorry, I don't even know your title, but I know you're great at what you do. She's in the underwriting department as well. I assume she's just an underwriter. And if there's underwriting questions as we go through this, send them via chat, and Jen and Amy will answer them. Of course, it is a lot easier and faster probably to get an annuity issued than it is life insurance, especially in the senior market. I understand that agents want to get paid as fast as possible. And everything I'm talking about I'm not saying that you should avoid annuity sales, but you should also be looking for the life sales. Another reason people don't write is they just don't believe in it. They don't think seniors need life insurance. They're just not committed to it. And probably one of the biggest issues is they just don't know how to find the need and define it. So I'm going to go through a scenario in the next several slides, something that I've trained agents over the last 30 years. I've been in the business now 32. And it is kind of an eye opener, the way you look at fact finding. And it's going to be a very simple example, but hopefully you take something away from it. So positive in the senior market, the more business you have in the house, the better that house is going to stay with you. That's all we know that for sure. Also, there's so few advisors recommending or working life insurance in that market because once again, they're afraid of the underwriting. They're going for the quick sale, finding the annuity and transferring it out. But if there's only a few doing it, they're probably doing it very well. And it's crazy to leave that kind of premium money on the table. And by working the senior market with life insurance, you're doing the right thing for your client. Another reason, are you a salesperson or are you an advisor? And if you consider yourself to be a trusted advisor, then you have to, if there's a need for life insurance, it's on you to recommend it. Of course, life cases in the senior market tend to be big cases. And just kind of a clarification point, throughout this presentation, I'm not talking about burial insurance. I'm not talking about final expense at all. We all know that exists. That to me is low-hanging fruit. But I'm looking at a different way to find a need in the senior market. So we all know, like I said, I think we're all pretty much veterans here. If you know your client, it's easy to find the need. So your fact finding has to be built on trust. The more trust your clients have with you, the more they share with you. So I always start fact finding with the simple questions, age, are you retired? I ask a lot of questions that I already know the answers to, especially if they're 75, they're probably retired. I want to know about their kids and grandkids, lots of open-ended questions and soft questions. I want them to talk about themselves as much as possible. So questions like, what did you do before you retired? How did you end up in that line of work? And I know it's kind of gender biased, and I apologize in advance, but traditionally men have always wanted to talk about what they did for a living, and women traditionally have always wanted to talk about their family. So, when you walk into the house, if you still make house calls, you see the wall of fame with the kids and the grandkids and all the pictures. Those are conversations that they want to have with you before we get any further and talk business. So you have to establish rapport. The more they talk about themselves, the stronger the trust becomes. And it's a phenomenon called cognitive dissonance. And I know that's kind of a fancy thing, but it's all about their actions. So people don't share personal information with people they don't trust. So that is congruent. I don't trust you, so I'm not sharing private information. But when they start answering your soft questions, their brain goes, wait a minute, I am answering these questions, I'm sharing personal information. Your brain doesn't like that. It doesn't like to say, I don't trust them, but I'm sharing. So your brain does adjust and says, I'm sharing information, therefore I must trust them. So the easier and softer the questions you start on your fact finding, the better and stronger the trust becomes. So when you do get to the dig down deep questions, they're going to be willing to answer them. So this is just the basic how I would always start my fact finders. Once I got through the soft part of it, I asked ages, of course that's soft. I don't go for the assets first. And I know a lot of agents, they're trained. Maybe it's instinct to ask about, where the money is. I actually was training a new agent. This is several years ago. And we sat down at the kitchen table, and I'm not kidding you, the first question out of his mouth was, so where do you keep your money? And I almost fell off my chair because everything I had told him prior, he just forgot. He was looking for money. He was looking for a quick sale. And it doesn't work that way. It's all about that trust. So in my fact find, I've got Betty, who's 71, and Bob, who's 74. Does that say? Yep, my little pictures of everybody is in the way. So Bob's 74, Betty's 71. Bob gets Social Security every month of $1,800. Bob gets a pension of $1,400 a month with a 50% survivor benefit. Okay. Betty gets $1,600 a month. She worked outside of the home for a total of $4,800 a month. Pretty basic, pretty generic. This could be anyone in the country, right? So the next thing I'm going to ask Betty, just looking at these numbers, I'm going to say, Betty, I'm going to ask you to buy something for me today that's going to cost $2,300 a month, every month, for the rest of your life. Can you afford it? And of course, when I say that, Betty's like, laughs, and are you nuts? I'm not spending $2,300 a month to buy something from you. But that's not really what that question means. So I always, once they calm down after I ask them that question, I say, okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. Bob, unfortunately, you just died. So look what happens to the monthly income when Bob dies. So Bob's Social Security, because it's a bigger of two, stays with the house, right? So Betty will keep the $1,800. Bob's pension was 50% survivor, so she keeps 700 of that for 25. So income then at Bob's death would be $2,500 a month, which is an income loss of $2,300 every month for the rest of Betty's life. Once you get to that point, they start listening, because you pointed out a problem that most of the advisors that they've met over time do not bring up. Everyone is always so focused on the assets that they skip or they don't give enough attention to the monthly income. And you're definitely missing the point, because that monthly income is incredibly important to Betty and Bob. That's how they pay their bills. That's their spending money. Everything else is, their nest egg, and they don't really want to mess with it. So this whole scenario of $2,300 a month gets even worse if you magnify it. So $2,300 a month times 12 is $27,600 a year that Betty would lose in income annually. And it gets worse after that. You want to keep showing, the true problem. If you look at the age difference, which is 3 years, and the life expectancy difference, which is 6 years, that's a total of 9 years. I don't have a crystal ball, but I've got statistics. So this may be pertinent to Bob and Betty. It might not be, but who knows? The income, loss of income years could be 11 years. We don't know. It could be 4. We have no idea, but we use our statistics. So the math is simple. 27,600 times 9 years is $248,000 of income loss over Betty's lifetime. So $250,000. So I guarantee you, when you get to that point, they're going to start running to filing cabinets. They're going to start running, if they keep their documents down in the basement, they're going to get you anything you want to do a really thorough fact find. I've seen it time and time again, because you've shown them a problem that no one else has shown them. So now we want to start finding a solution to their problem. We're going to start talking about assets. I always start simple, checking and savings, something like, Bob and Betty, do you keep an inordinate amount of money in your checking and savings? So, and if you've done fact finds, or you've seen somebody, yeah, I've got $65,000 in my checking and savings. And I always ask, so you planning on buying a car? Why so much? Well, it just goes in there and we don't spend it all. Okay, so then that's something you're going to find out. Do they invest in CDs? Do they have annuities, IRAs, stocks, bonds? Anything you can ask. I was with a client, this is back in Wisconsin, and very nice house, did the fact find, did everything, and I just couldn't find as much money as I felt should be in the house. And then I asked, is there anything you think I forgot to ask you about? And they said, well, we collect crystal. And then, of course, I looked around the house and there was crystal everywhere. And they had, I don't know, about $175,000 worth of crystal. And they were planning on using that as an asset and sell it as they needed it to supplement their retirement. So ask questions, dig down, find everything you can. And do not forget to ask about any existing life insurance, because it definitely can come into play later. So, of course, every question you ask requires follow-up questions. You've got a CD. Is it qualified or non-qualified? And I don't know what that means. Is it an IRA or isn't it? I want to know account values. Are you using this specific asset for income? If they are, then you have to be very aware of that, because if you end up repositioning it or moving it somewhere else, you're messing up their income, and it changes their lifestyle, and that's something they do not want to happen. Another question, why are you with Prudential? Why are you with Thrivent? Or why are you with this specific stockbroker? And I'm looking to see if there's something that's going to pop up. I'm with this advisor because it's our son-in-law. Well, that could be a problem down the road when you start making recommendations. Or my brother sold it to me. He was with JP Morgan and he's not of the business, but we've just kept it there. So I always want to know who the advisor and why they're with them and why they're with that company. Of course, you want to know the current rate and performance and how they feel about it. Are they happy with the rate? Are they happy with, the markets just went down and their mutual fund portfolio just took a 20% hit? How do they feel about that? Are they taking RMDs? Bob's at RMD age, so yes, he would be. And what are you doing with it and why? You're always looking for these questions and digging down deeper so you have a clear understanding of what they're doing financially and what they're doing emotionally as well. And when I get to life insurance, I say, okay, you've got a $50,000 life insurance policy. It's fairly old. Why did you buy that originally? And we just listen. Well, we bought it because we just bought our house and had our first kid. And of course, they're in their 70s now, so their kids are having kids. So is this life insurance still needed for what it originally was intended for? And most of the time, it's not. It's something they've gotten used to paying the premium over all those years, and they just continue to do it. So here, very simple fact find. So that Bob and Betty had 23,000 in their checking. They had CDs, 100,000, non-qualified money. Bob's got a fixed annuity for 275, qualified. So that's his IRA. We could assume it came from his 401k at work. Betty's got a fixed annuity as well, 125 qualified. Probably the same story if she worked outside of the home. They've got a joint account of mutual funds, 75,000 non-qualified. Bob's got life insurance, $50,000 face with a $23,000 cash value. And he's paying $60 a month on it. Been paying $60 a month forever, right? Betty's got 30, 12,000 of cash, paying 40. All of these things, even though this is an incredibly simplified fact finder, and I'm just once again using it for illustration's sake, it can show you the things that give you an opportunity to find a solution to their problem. So if you want to send a chat message, if you see anything right now, just in this simplified fact finder, send it out, send it to us. And what I love about doing fact find. So when I would train agents, I'd have agency meetings and we'd bring a fact finder in and scratch off the names and all that stuff. And as a group, we talk about it and what we see in that fact find and possible solutions. And of course, the agent who did the fact find has the inside knowledge. So if something wasn't clear, that agent would clarify it. And we come up with a solution as a group. And it was really a lot of fun and actually very educational because there are several right answers when you look at somebody's situation. There's several wrong answers, but there's a lot of different ways to take care of a need. And it really based on what you think is the right thing for your clients and how your clients feel about this is the right move for us. Two possible solutions using GCU products. One would be our single premium whole life, our legacy protector. So if they put $123,000 into our single premium whole life, it buys them a death benefit of $178,000. Where did I get that money from? I looked at the non-qualified CDs and I looked at the $23,000 of cash value for Bob. So I would 1035 exchange the policy from their existing policy and then add another $100,000 to make it a single premium. That's one way to go. Also, we mentioned Bob's got a $275,000 IRA. Roughly his RMD is about $10,000 that year. So if he took his RMD out and used it to buy life insurance, it would get him $177,000 death benefit. And these are just two possible solutions, assuming Bob is insurable. Some critical things in the senior market you got to remember. When you're presenting life insurance, it's absolutely critical that you show them how they're going to pay for it. In the younger market, we know how they're going to pay for it. They're going to write you a check and you're going to set it up automatic, check-o-matic every month until they, either stop paying it or they cancel the policy, one of the two. Seniors don't play that way. They look at their monthly income that comes from their Social Security and pensions as money that they live on, they pay their bills on, they go play bingo with. That is their money for everyday living. So when you recommend life insurance, especially bigger cases, you have to show them how to pay for it. So your job is to reposition assets or redirect any unused income stream. So that's exactly when I brought those two possible solutions up. Repositioning assets. You got life insurance that's really not filling its need anymore, and you've got a $100,000 CD sitting in the bank. What's it for? Would it be better to reposition it into a single premium whole life policy? The money doesn't disappear. It's still in the life policy. And if you looked at the illustration, GCU single premium whole life, usually between 3 and 4 years, the surrender value, the guaranteed cash surrender value equals your premium paid. So they do that. They put $123,000 into a single premium, and 4 years later, they change their mind. They get all their money back. So the worst case scenario, it was a mistake, they felt, but they still didn't lose a dime. Same thing with an unused income stream. Bob, what are you doing with them RMDs? Oh, I'm just putting them in my checking account. Well, they don't have a plan for it. Wouldn't it make sense if you have to move the money to use it to take care of that income loss, Bob, if you die, making sure Betty's going to be taken care of? So my recommendations and why, well, I went through it, move the CD and the life policy, buys 178. Another benefit is it doesn't affect their lifestyle. They weren't using the CD for income. They weren't, taking loans against their life insurance policy. And the benefit for them, you're shutting off the 1099 from the CD. So most people, they get the interest, and nowadays the interest is higher, and then they're just letting it reinvest, but they're paying the taxes on money they're not using. So why do that? If you put it into the life insurance policy, you shut off the 1099s. And another benefit by rolling that old policy that Bob is paying $60 a month on, well, that premium shuts off. So that's quite a bit of money that he's saving annually, plus the taxes, just by doing it. Lifestyle does not change. Tax situation gets better. Monthly income gets better just by repositioning. And they see that. You've shown them how it's going to be paid for, and it really doesn't change their life one bit other than make their financial situation better. If you're using Bob's RMD, like I said, about $10,000 a year, buys $177,000. Question I've asked over and over and over, and Nicole and I ran our first appointment together 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And it was the same scenario. And the gentleman had an RMD, a sizable RMD, and I asked him, Bob, if you didn't have to take out your RMD, would you? And he looked at me point blank and said, I don't need it. I wish I didn't have to take it. But we all know he has to take it. So that money is in motion, taxable event. There is no way around it. If you have a way around it, odds are it's probably not kosher with the IRS, unless you're dealing charities and giving money away. If Bob says no, he doesn't need it for income. So maybe that's an unused income stream that you can use to take care of the life insurance need. Okay, that was it. It was short and simple. I'll take questions now. If you want to ask our underwriters questions, feel free.
They'll have to unmute themselves.
Yeah, you'll have to unmute if you want to talk.
I got a question for you. You hear me?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. When you come up and they, they show you, well, I'm taking Social Security and pension, and then then they go to their file drawer and they pull out all their assets and everything. Do you probably go through and ask them what part of that you're using for income now, or is that a future plan? Because when we came up with 178,000, we still left them over $70,000 short of what
Right.
she's.
Yeah, when they start bringing me statements and all that, one question, in my opinion, if I ask them one question, it means I'm probably going to have to ask at least 5 more questions on that topic. So I completely understand it. And you're dead on. It was a $250,000 need. But sometimes you can't cover the whole need. If I really wanted to go deeper in that fact find, we could have found more. But I just wanted to show some simple examples. But yeah, the fact finding is, as you all know, is absolutely critical. The more you know, the stronger your recommendation. The more you know about them personally, the more their trust is, and everything else goes smooth after that. But showing them that income loss right out of the gates changes the entire tone of the conversation after that. And
I like that approach. I've never saw that before. I've never seen anybody use that approach of, hey, I want to sell you something $2,300 a month, and that's really great. I appreciate
it's powerful. It's powerful, and the room gets really quiet when I show them what I'm talking about.
Right.
And
I wasn't being critical on your solution or anything. I was just trying to see if there was something else that I was missing in the conversation. So.
Right. Yeah. Appreciate it. It definitely, there were short, but those were just really simple solutions that the fact find was showing. So
Thank you.
thanks, Tom. We'll see you. Oh, any other questions regarding life insurance? Raymond came in late. Raymond, do you want the slide that shows the question, or we can go back?
Whatever you feel comfortable sharing, Jeff, is
Okay.
fine with me, but
Oh.
I
And
came
by the
in.
way, this is going on our library.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to see it after the fact, but if you go back a few more slides.
So if I go to GCU, there's a spot there where you have videos that you've done.
Yep. So keep going. So, okay, so this is, I always start with income. So
Yeah.
pretty basic. Bob's Social Security, his pension option, Betty total, and then next. So I always say, once I do that, Betty, I'm going to ask you to buy something for me today that's going to cost $2,300 a month, every month for the rest of your life. Can you afford it? And of course, she'll laugh and sputter, and then I show him this. And so Bob dies. She keeps the bigger of the two socials. She gets half of Bob's pension, so she gets $2,500 a month. That's a $2,300 monthly income loss every month for the rest of her life. So that has been a power thing for me all the time. Start easy, start light on your fact find, start with income, because they're more comfortable sharing that than they are showing you mutual fund statements, annuity statements. I've had people show me statements that they were embarrassed to show me because they didn't know if they did the right thing. But in mutual fund, Social Security and pensions, they did what they did. I mean, that was what it was. So it's not really a personal number to them. Chris wants to see the slide again with the question. Right there. Oh,
Betty.
Right there, Betty. I'm going to ask you to buy something for me that's going to cost $2,300 a month, every month, for the rest of your life. Can you afford it? You're welcome, Chris. And that's a power phrase. It really is. And it, like I said, Betty is instantly going to laugh nervously and say, "You're nuts. I can't afford that." And then you show them the next slide that she's going to end up paying $2,300 a month every month for the rest of her life as an income loss when Bob dies. So, and then I magnify it. Sometimes it's in your benefit to shrink a number where, term insurance costs 32 cents a day because you broke it down to a day. In this scenario, I'm going to magnify it, not only monthly loss, What's the annual loss? What's the loss magnified by age difference and life expectancy difference? What's that total number? And we're at $250,000 of income lost over Betty's lifetime. These are powerful numbers and numbers. And what's most important, these aren't my numbers. These are their numbers. I'm not making it up. These are the numbers they shared with me. They know these numbers better than I do, but they've never looked at it in this way. And it makes a huge difference. Once we get through this, rest of the fact finding, digging deep into the assets is much easier because they see the need and they have a high level of concern. Once we said that, Bob doesn't want to leave Betty high and dry, and Betty does not want to be left high and dry.
Right.
So we've upped the emotion level, and the concern is there. And the problem went from being not really there to being absolutely clear in probably 5 minutes total. So, I mean, I've done this now for a long, long time. I didn't invent it. My mentor back in the early 90s at Pru, he showed it to me, and I'm sure he stole it from somebody else. We all know there's nothing original in this business anymore. So, any other questions about the life? And we still have one more question we'll get to. Justin, your question is, how do we apply for the charity donation? If you go to the GCU website, there is a link there that will show you how to apply for it. And if you have trouble finding it, you reach out to Nicole or me, we'll get you there. But we love giving money away to local charities. That's what we're here for. That's what makes us different. We're fraternal. We're not commercial. We don't have stockholders. And if you buy a policy from us, we don't call you a client. We call you a member. You're a member of GCU. And to me, that means a lot. Like I said, I worked for Prudential, and then every company I've represented after that has been fraternal, and I would never go back to the commercial world again. I just love what fraternals do, and I love the message that we have. So anything else for the common good? Okay, well, I want to really, really thank you for your attention and your time. I know how busy you all are. Don't forget, we've got that life sales contest going. Send us 10 apps. You get a free vacation, a weekend vacation. It doesn't have to be a weekend, by the way. If you can get away during the week, take it during the week. We would love to give those away. The value of the trip is in excess of $500 for lodging and food and all that stuff. So it's worth it. And as I said before, we don't care how big the apps are. Just send us 10 apps. You have to have 10 issued by the end of March, and we will send you a drive away vacation. Anything else? If not, well, this meeting has ended. Go in peace.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you. Bye now.
Bye.
Have a great week.